first guest.
Yeah.
We need a like applause track.
Woo! I'll just do that. It's fine. Welcome to the Moms for Social Justice podcast, where we talk about how you can make your community a more awesome place. In this episode, Mari and I talked to Chaney Lanham, founder of Hope Community Fridge, about why she started this project and how it helps tackle the issue of food insecurity in our area. I found this chat with Chaney really inspiring and informative. She's a mom that just saw an opportunity to help others and she made it happen. Her heart is so generous and caring and kind, and I want there to be more Chaneys in the world. And maybe that could be you, or already is you. Even with an issue like food insecurity, which feels insurmountable and too big for one person to tackle, I hope that you can feel empowered to do something and know that your contribution is so meaningful, especially to those that directly benefit. I hope you enjoy this episode and our chat with Chaney.
Hello, welcome to the Moms for Social Justice podcast. This will be episode
5,
I think. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And exciting. And it's our first episode with a real live human guest.
Not a
As
robot.
opposed to an AI.
Not AI.
Chaney is real. And we're so excited to have you, Chaney.
Thank you.
Yes. So a little bit about Moms for Social Justice, in case you aren't aware of who we are. We're a progressive grassroots organization, and we're located here in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee.
It is beautiful right now, isn't it?
It is. I think it's peak leaf time.
Peak leaf, yeah. And then
Peak
they're going to
leaf.
get blown away.
And they're going to turn brown because we've had no rain. Anyway, so we're here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we work to help empower parents to fight for social change in their own backyard. And our guest today is doing just that, which is very exciting. So before we get into that, we like to start with a little like a what's on your heart segment. So Rosie, do you want to start us off?
Yes. I am presenting at Career Day at my kids' school today. So I'm going to present what it means to be a graphic designer or a designer in general. And I think it's always really interesting. Like, how do you break down your job to like an understandable way for third graders to get? Because you don't need to give them all the nitty gritty details. You just want them to be interested in your field in general and kind of get an idea of what it is that somebody with that title, like what they do. So I had fun this morning, like building a presentation on, what a fashion designer does and what an industrial designer does and a UX designer, and how we all solve problems in the different ways that we're thinking about, shape and color and line and form and materials and things like that in order to solve our problems. And anyway, I hope it goes well. The awesome and brutal thing about kids is that they will be immediately honest with you if they think you're dumb and that you're not doing a good job. But as a designer, I'm grateful always for that immediate feedback, and I can take that and process that and just do better, have some revisions, and do better next time.
Yeah. Well, that sounds so exciting. They're going to love it. They're all going to want to be designers.
Oh, I hope not.
No more
it's very
marine
saturated.
biologists, no veterinarians, just designers.
Just designers. Actually, that would be cool.
That
would be cool. And then when they're older, we'll better understand the job market and like hiring prospects and stuff like that. And it's just, it's fine.
Oh, I love it. All right, Chaney, what is on your heart today?
We're just getting ready for the trick or treats that we're going to be doing this weekend. We have one in Eastridge we're going to do tomorrow. And then Sunday we'll be at the C Theater with y'all.
Yes. And do you do Halloween trick-or-treating?
No one comes by our house.
Oh, okay.
So we don't do it here, but I'm thinking about, I heard Bell Bar down in Brainerd. They have a good neighborhood, so I might go down there.
Actually, one of my best friends, she has since moved, but she had a house in Belvoir. So our group of friends, we would just converge on her house, and we would make kind of like a haunted yard.
I love
So my husband would be the grave digger, and he would just like scrape his shovel on the sidewalk, and like kids were like just running through and screaming, not getting any candy. As the parents were like cackling by the street, they're like, "This is awesome." I'm like, "We just traumatized your child. I hope this is okay." Anyway, it was so much fun. We did it for a few years. It was great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mari.
Spooky season.
Yes, you do love spooky season.
I do. I'm a fan. Well, let's see. What's on my heart is a little heavier. As a family, we had to put down our kitty cat this past week, which was tough. He had lymphoma, and it was time. It's a hard decision to make, but the reason it's on my heart now is I'm just so proud of my kiddos, because this is the first time we've ever had to put a pet down while they've been old enough to understand what's going on. And so it was nice for me because I wasn't alone, and my daughter actually wanted to be there with us, when we put the kitty down. And the vet said that was like really important and, gives children closure. And I kept going back and forth, and then I ultimately left it up to her. So she's 11. And then my 7-year-old son, he knew exactly what parts he wanted to be involved in and what parts he didn't, which I thought was pretty cool. I think I would have been really unsure at that age. And he was like, "I want to talk to the vet. I want to ask some questions. Then I want to leave. And then I want to come back when it's done and say goodbye." And I was like,
wow.
That's
very wise. Both of your kids are they're so like in tune with themselves. It's awesome.
Well, I hope so. But anyway, so, of course it was sad and hard, but I was first of all, the organization Lap of Love was amazing. They came to our house, and the vet was so cool and talked us through all the real scientific medical stuff, but then also made it like very like, oh, and now he's crossed the rainbow bridge kind of stuff. So really, really a great experience. And then it was beautiful and not what I expected in a positive way. So yeah, kind of just, I think, remembering that our kids can handle more sometimes than we think that they can, and to include them more. I think, a lot of us were raised by people who thought that maybe we needed to be shielded from a lot.
Yes.
And I think we're learning now, that kids can, I don't know, they're so amazing, and they can handle so much more than a lot of people give them credit for. And it's, kind of an interesting segue into book banning and all of that. Like this idea of banning ideas and thoughts and not allowing kids to have nuanced conversations about heavy topics. Like my daughter could handle, watching her cat die while she was holding it, and like approached it with such grace. And it was neat.
I'm really sorry about your cat, but yeah, I think that's so cool that you were able to include both of your kids in the way that they wanted, that they chose to be included in that process. And like you said, to give them closure. Because when we've had to put a few dogs down since we've had kids, but they were quite young still at that point. So it was sort of like, we'll shuttle them off to somebody else's house while we do that process. But for one of our dogs, we also did at-home euthanasia, just because she hated the vet so much. And yeah, it was a very peaceful process. And then when we picked up her ashes, they even had almost like a little, like, I don't know, altar or chapel. And you could add a Lego block to like the rainbow bridge and write your pet's name on, and like add it to the. I know. I thought that was so cool. I will say vets that specialize in that kind of end of life care are really special human beings. And
yes.
I struggled for a long time, I think, to see putting your pet to sleep as something positive, but it truly is, you're ending their suffering. And because there's, you can't put a pet in a wheelchair necessarily or something like that.
Right.
We don't have round the clock hospice care for animals. And so we do the best that we can for them. And sometimes that is the best that we can do for them. And just reflecting too. And, the whole, it's not just the end of life, but it's the whole life that we've given them. And I know that you gave your kitty a great life.
He was a stinker sometimes, but he came and found us and was like, "You're now my family."
Oh,
That's
yeah.
cool.
We had one of those.
Moving in. And I was like, all right, the cat distribution system worked. And looking forward to see what it brings us next, because I'm sure we'll get another one. So now we want to talk about something very exciting and I think kind of timely, the community fridge, and that is why Chaney is here with us today, because, coming up on Thanksgiving and the holidays, I feel like that's when a lot of people think about, oh, I should donate food to folks that are less fortunate, or,
there's food drives.
Food drives, churches are always,
volunteering at soup kitchens, stuff like that. Yes.
Right. And so, we thought it would be really appropriate to talk to Chaney today, just to kind of hear like her experience of starting an organization like the Community Fridge. I think there are a lot of misconceptions. It
affects more people than we realize.
Almost definitely.
Yes, definitely does. And I love, I feel cool. I have a visual aid today of the cool brochure.
If you're listening, Mari is holding up this awesome brochure that Chaney actually put together.
Designed.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of
so cool.
Got like a ransom note style.
It does.
It does.
But I think that works well, because this is community organization that is very grassroots. And so you're pulling different pieces. The designer in me is working right now. You're pulling different pieces from other, just like how you would pull different pieces from a magazine. Anyway, that's
that's exactly it. Because like with the fridge, it's a zero waste initiative.
Yeah. So Chaney, that's a perfect little segue into zero waste and talking about the awesome organization that is the Community Fridge. So if you don't mind introducing yourself and give the little elevator pitch. Of it doesn't have to be perfect of what the Community Fridge is. I'm sure you're good at talking about that, because you talk about it all the time.
Oh my goodness.
To everyone.
It's all I ever think about too. I'm Chaney. I started Hope Community Fridge in 2001. At the time, my son was a Boy Scout at Wesley Memorial Church. And so, with their help, we got our first community fridge running. And so its goal is to reduce food waste and food insecurity in our neighborhood. So, like, if you have a can of corn that you're not ever going to eat, that's just collecting dust in your pantry, just drop it off at the fridge. And, stuff goes in and out of the community fridge so quickly. Like, nothing's sitting there for like more than 3 days.
So wait, did this start as like a scout project, like a community scout, or it was just a need that you all saw?
For me, there's a lot to go into the fridge. I was angry when I first started it because my grandmother, my tutu mama, she is from Hawaii, up in Oahu. 2021. The Red Hill military base was leaking jet fuel. And just this month, they got them to shut it down, and they're going to start cleaning it up. So I couldn't directly help anyone way over there. So I was like, what can I do here to like channel my anger into? And that was, helping taking care of my own community.
Wow.
That sounds very similar to the catalyst for Moms for Social Justice. And, we talk about it all the time. Everything is so heavy right now. And it has been for
a while.
Years. But we have found that the best way, honestly, it's almost selfish. We've found that the best way to not feel overwhelmed and not feel despair is to find ways to help the community that we live in. And it's also, as I said, a little selfish, because it's so nice to be able to really see the change. Because yes, doing things on a national or global scale is, of course, incredibly important. But a lot of times, like if you donate to a fund that's helping folks maybe, in Israel or something like that, you're not necessarily going to see that.
You don't see that impact. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Whereas Chaney, you probably get to see people actually come get food from the fridge. You see the whole process. Maybe someone brings the thing and donates it, and then off it goes, and it's used and gives someone sustenance and makes them feel cared for. So yeah, that's really important. And that's kind of why we started this podcast, was to encourage people all over to, Rosie puts it, which I love, make their community a more awesome place. Because I think we get very sometimes tunnel vision in our own lives and things. And so if we're going to live in that society, we need to take time to care about each other.
100%. And I'm curious, was your church at the time doing some kind of like food outreach program and you were like expanding on it? Or was this like something that totally, like, where did you get the idea to even do this?
Oh, definitely. There's a community fridge, the Chattanooga Community Fridge on Union. And when we were down there, we would drive past to see if they had anything. But for us, it was like a 20, 30-minute drive. My family sometimes deals with food insecurity. But Wesley Memorial, they used to, help people with vouchers for the food bank and stuff. So they were totally on board to having a community fridge too.
It's one thing to say like, hey, wouldn't this be great if we had a fridge out here? And it's another thing to actually do it. So what was that process like? Did you have to raise funding? Were you like, how did you source a fridge? Obviously, it sounded like the church was very on board. Did they help with some of putting that together?
Yeah, they helped. They provide this space. They pay for electricity. They helped like assemble the wooden stuff. The Boy Scout troop, 137, they talked to Home Depot. They got all the lumber for us. And I just found the fridge on Marketplace. Someone was giving it away for free. So,
Cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Zero waste.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that goes to show it can be the actual doing of an idea can be really intimidating, but you shared your idea very quickly with the people around you, and they were like on board. And I think that's an important lesson, or something that people can take away, is if you have a great idea, share it with people that you know and trust, and like I bet they'll help find a way to make that happen. How long has that
I think in June 2022 is when we actually got it built and it was up and running.
Okay. And you've expanded beyond that, just that one, right?
Yeah, now we have a location on Brainerd, pretty close to Grace Episcopal Church.
Can you kind of describe, like, what is the setup? Because I feel like you hear community fridge, and I don't know that everyone realizes it's an actual refrigerator. I feel like, I don't know, in my mind when I first heard about it, I thought, is this something like a food bank where you go in and you talk to
it's
a
a building,
and
yeah.
you get maybe what you need, or you have to show that you need something, or, I wasn't really sure. So actually seeing the setup that it's an actual refrigerator with, freezer in the top, fridge in the bottom, and then there's also some shelving, right, for like pantry type items. Yeah. So kind of, describe that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so anybody can come to the community fridge. We don't ask, what your living wage, how many dependents you have. Like, if you need food, come and take the food. That's it. You just have to get there. So we have like pantry space build, and which we're gonna like insulate this year, so hopefully things don't freeze. Last year cans of peas froze, and like that's not helpful to anyone.
It's true. We did have some extra cold temperatures last year though.
Ooh,
too,
yes,
so
we did.
So
smart.
We insulated the fridge, so hopefully that'll be okay. You just walk up and take whatever you need, seriously.
Which is so awesome, because I think one of the hard things about food insecurity is asking for help. there's a lot of shame tied to that. People feel like they failed, which is absolutely not the case. But it can be really intimidating and really hard to go to a food bank like at a church where you have to enter a space, or, another program where you have to kind of show that you need assistance. And this is something that, like you said, that anybody can walk up to and grab whatever they need, how much or however much or however little, without any questions, without
judgment, shame.
Without judgment, without shame. Yeah.
Right. I love that. And isn't it's like the motto that solidarity, not charity?
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I think that's really a beautiful sentiment. And I think if we could shift the collective conscious in that direction, I think it would change the way that so many people look at helping others. Because right now it feels very like transactional or like judgmental. You see someone that's asking for money and, I feel like people instantly have a reaction. And so this is, I think, a beautiful way to help each other.
Yeah. And we've worked with the Chattanooga Free Store before, and that feels very, very similar. A mutual aid store where anybody, I can go in and like pick out some clothes for myself or clothes for my kids. I can bring some things that I'm done using or my kids are done using. And it's very positive space to be in. And I love that you've created that around food, because there is so much shame tied to just asking for help in general, or needing help.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that. I always think of like, little babies, they cry. That's like one of the first things we do as humans is like cry for help. Like, why do we like suppress that when we get older?
Well, yeah, and just like in you starting the fridge, or like us starting MSJ, we had to ask for help. You had to ask for help. We're all not experts at everything, or at building a pantry or filing paperwork or any of that. And letting people know about your vulnerabilities is important, because that lets people in and grows community and connections. And then awesome stuff like the Hope Community Fridge happens.
Yes. I see your kitty.
Yes.
Hello, kitty.
This Tiger.
Hi, Tiger.
He's
you can
so
tell
cute.
I'm a cat person. I was like, oh, are those ears? Aw. So I had a question about like what is something that you think, when in talking to people about this work that you do, what is something that you hear a lot of, or that you've heard people say that maybe isn't true about food insecurity, or I don't know, just kind of some misconceptions that maybe people have that you can, shed some light on?
Well, I mean, food insecurity, it shows no mercy. Our elderly are food insecure. Our veterans, our school children, like our students, like it touches everybody. Like I've heard people say, oh, I don't want to help people because they're just going to then spend their money on drugs or something. It's like, if they're hungry, we should uplift our neighbors, and like, bring them out of suffering.
Unconditional help.
Yeah, like
we don't need to put conditions on, you don't hand someone a $5 bill and say,
but you have to spend it on. Right. Yeah.
Something I think you need, not what you actually need.
Yes. Yeah. And you would hope that people are experts in their own lives and know how to best spend the $5 that you give them, or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes like people are worried like just one person's taking all the food. And I'd like to remind them, like, we don't know their story. Like they could be taking care of their elderly neighbor, or they could be like a family of 5. Like,
right.
We don't know.
Right. Yeah. And it's not our place to ask or judge.
Right.
And Chaney, you were talking about how it affects everyone. I think there was just a report like last week or this week from the U.S. Department of Agriculture that more than 44.2 million Americans are in households or have lived in households that have struggled with hunger in 2022, and that's an increase of over 10 million from the previous year. And in this another survey found about 1 in 6 adults relied on charitable food, such as free groceries or meals last year, and that is higher for Black and Latino households and also single parent households. So when we talk about food insecurity, I think we have a picture in our head of what that person who is dealing with that may look like. Not, but I think about my grandma who gets Meals on Wheels. And she is a benefit of a program that helps people who are food insecure. When we pay our tax dollars to go to our public schools, we are also helping provide meals for kids who are food insecure and rely on that breakfast and that lunch every day, and even meals over the summer in order to make it through the day not hungry. So it, as you said, I think affects way more people than we realize.
I mean, statistically, like, we all know someone who's food insecure, whether they are vocal about it or not.
Right. Again, like the shame aspect of it makes it a quieter problem than it actually is, something because we don't talk about it because we're feel too proud or are worried what other people are going to think about us if we say, I'm having trouble making ends meet this month and I only have $25 left to spend on groceries, and that's not going to be enough for me and my 3 kids. Yeah. Understanding that everybody is probably just doing the best that they can, and economically things are really difficult right now. I mean, we've seen even just the price of groceries increase astronomically since COVID, and things like rent and stuff, and so but we haven't seen wages rise at the same same rate. So we're seeing people really struggling to try to fit these puzzle pieces together, and just something has got to give. And I think that's awesome that if that grocery puzzle piece isn't going to fit in what they have that month, that they can go to a community fridge or a mutual aid store and get what they need, because being food insecure is traumatic, and it can affect all aspects of your life.
Oh, definitely. Yes. I mean, how can a student concentrate on their classwork if their stomach is hurting?
There was a study about standardized testing that came out a few years ago, and the best way to increase scores for standardized testing is to make sure that students are fed, and it astronomically increases scores. And it's it's not like extra study time. It's not prep work leading up to the test. It's just not being hungry. It was what will get kids to focus.
That's a good plug for the state of Tennessee to accept that federal funding that our governor is saying we don't want for some reason, to help some of these awesome, bright, talented students in our schools that folks claim to care so much. A lot of that money goes toward feeding them.
Oh, yeah. I find that so infuriating, just because that they don't want to get this funding just because they have to spend it a certain way. Which one of those certain ways is, feeding kids.
Oh, no, can't do that.
Right.
How dare we?
Now that is conditional money, because because we don't want our state to just decide to spend it on sports or something like that.
Well, and I feel like our state in particular, I mean, I guess every state, but they always are trying to look for these ways on how to increase test scores, and now all of our schools are going to have a letter grade attached to them, which isn't helpful. But then we're going to take away this important funding that feeds our kids, or that provides services for our special needs students. Right. It just blows my mind. And I think these type of issues, if you don't live in a red state, is maybe not something that you're aware of, because in blue states usually there's a lot more social aid programs available for people that are there's more programs and they're more easily accessible. And here, that's just not the case.
Right.
And it's going to be hard, there's less of those programs available. And then also we're going to see funding for even just in public spheres like school, see that funding dry up. And so that's why it's so important for people like you, Chaney. Like, I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, because these services and programs are just so vitally important in our area, in these red states.
Yes, they really, really are. I'm kind of curious, what goes the fastest? What are you finding that you need the most, that maybe would translate also to other areas, as far as, like maybe fresh produce goes the fastest, especially since I know it's so expensive. So tell us a little bit about what the community fridge needs the most of, and maybe cadence, as far as, like we said at the beginning, a lot of people think about donating around the holidays, but are there other times of year that folks are hungry? Yes,
all the time. Yeah, I mean, we will definitely see an increase of people coming during the winter as, like heating and electric skyrocket. But things that go by the quickest, definitely fresh fruit. That'll be gone. Proteins like the little tuna packets, those will go really quickly, as well as like any type of water or juice. For some reason, sweet potatoes, they hang around a while. I don't know why.
Okay. I was literally just thinking about sweet potatoes, like when you were talking about fresh produce, because I am a sweet potato fan. I love them, and they're pretty inexpensive, and they provide your body with like all of the amino acids and everything that you like. They are a complete meal. Like, they're one of the best things that you can eat. So that makes me sad. Maybe we need like an educational, like a flyer, like
with the potatoes.
If you see sweet potatoes, snag that, because it's going to be great. Just steam it. You can put like some peanuts on top, or a little bit of butter, or even like some maple syrup is great.
Maple syrup.
Yeah. You're talking to fellow sweet potato fans, I think. I love.
Take me to Japan.
Anyway.
Yeah, because they just have it as like street food in Japan,
right?
Oh wow!
So good. Maybe it's just because they take a long time to prepare. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I think about, at least when I buy for the fridge, is like, who can use this? Do they have a stove? Do they have a microwave? Like, do they even have an oven? So
right, yeah, I know that I've heard with mac and cheese or something like that, like choose the box that you don't need butter and milk. Choose it the just add water type of things, because you may it's kind of hard when you give someone something, or they choose it and they need it and they don't have all of the other things to make it happen, so they have to put it back.
Yeah, that's a very, very fair point. And like the tuna packets, that's something that's easy, that you can open up and slap on a piece of bread or a cracker, and it's very filling. Or like an apple, you can just eat that. Whereas the vegetables might be harder, or even like some of the canned goods, you need, or you would want, hopefully, a way to like heat some of those up.
Because a lot of hotels, they don't have stovetops,
right?
Or ovens.
They might just have a microwave,
right?
And maybe a mini fridge, if that. Is there anything else about like the food insecurity landscape in our area that you wish people knew, or do you think there's anything in particular to our area or to Chattanooga, or just like red states in general?
I'm not sure if it's anything unique, but I mean, you can see just like grocery stores just shutting down because of theft. So they say.
Right, which is, so they say, right. And theft is just a sign of
poverty.
And needs are not being met in an area. And I know, like, where the newer community fridges on Brainerd, that is a food desert. There was a Walmart there, and it closed down because of, like you said, theft, quote unquote.
Right.
Yep.
And so now there are a lot of folks that live in that area, and it's very accessible to public transportation. And unfortunately, there's nowhere on that road to get fresh food. I don't even know if there's like a Dollar General or anything on that road.
I think there's a gas station and people buy their milk from the gas station.
When you think about like how far somebody would have to travel in order to get access to produce and canned goods and things like that, that creates a huge barrier for people.
Yes.
Especially if you're working multiple jobs or you're working different shifts and public transportation is not available at those times. If you don't have a car, or you only have so much money available for gas every month. You were talking about the fridge that you would visit being over half an hour away. So increasing access to different communities is super important. And, I wonder, like, on a municipal level, like, how do we, and we don't have to have the answer to this question because I'm not part of city government or county government, but, are there ways to incentivize grocery stores to build in areas where there are food deserts? Because I think about in the area of town that I live in, we have like 12 grocery stores in a 10-minute drive area. It's ridiculous. We do not need that many. In fact, they're building, there's a Publix on East Brainerd Road, and they're building another one just like less than 5 minutes down the road, across from a Food City. And there's another Food City.
Yep.
5 minutes down the road the other way. So yeah, we don't need it, but because the area is higher income, they see, I guess, more of an opportunity and less of an opportunity in these food desert areas. But I think I wish, and I'm sure there must be ways to subsidize or incentivize building grocery stores in these food desert areas. And I think about there is a grocery store called Common Ground that is in a food desert in our area, and they provide a lot of like more locally like sourced ingredients, which is really neat because it's benefiting the local community.
Oh yeah, I love that.
The consumer end and also the producers.
Right. So I just saw you post, Chaney, about needing a home for another fridge.
Oh yeah.
So I guess kind of tell us the process. So let's say someone listening might be like, that sounds like something I could potentially do. So what's kind of the first step? So you actually have a refrigerator, right?
Yep. Someone donated another refrigerator to us, so I've got it all cleaned out. It's ready to go. So step
you just
one
need a spot to put it.
Yeah. Step two is finding a host location. So when I'm looking for locations, it needs to be, outside so people can just walk up to it. Little tidbits I'm looking for is like, does it have access to parking? Is there a sidewalk? If I was in a wheelchair, could I come to the fridge? And then, talking with the hosts, making them understand, we are not policing the food.
Right.
We're not doing that. It's here for everybody. And then looking at the area, is there a Food City right next door? Well, then, maybe this isn't the best location, but like if you want a fridge, we'll put a fridge there.
Does accessibility to public, because I know our public transportation system here is pretty limited. I mean, I guess if it is accessible to public transportation, that's a gold star.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
That might be hard to find, I'm sure.
Yeah, like at Wesley Memorial, it's a 20-minute walk from the nearest bus stop.
Wow.
Yeah. With no sidewalks either to it. So
we hate sidewalks in Chattanooga.
I don't know why.
Don't either. And benches. We don't want people to sit down. And we want people to walk in the road.
Yeah.
Or in the grass.
Get hit by a car.
Right.
Yeah. Well, luckily, though, we do have people like the Chattanooga Urbanist Society that are trying to raise awareness of these issues and
put benches places.
Put benches in places. Yeah. We should
it's
have
a radical act. Putting a bench somewhere,
I know.
putting a fridge somewhere. What? It's crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever received any kind of pushback from anyone, whether on like the city or county level or just individuals? No?
No.
Everyone's been on. I mean, yeah, everybody should be on board, but you never know.
No, like we try to keep up with code with the health department. The same way, like if health department were to go into the restaurant, we're not going to have like raw meat sitting next to a carrot or anything like that. So if they were to say anything, like we're already nice and good.
Yeah. How often do you visit?
I was just going to ask
fridges?
that.
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Because you're so awesome about posting this, like the current status of this fridge and whether it's full or it needs some love and care.
Oh, yeah. Like every day we have a volunteer go check the fridge. They're checking the inventory, if it's clean, the temperature.
And I think that's another thing, too, if you don't necessarily have the funds or extra food that you can donate to the fridge, but you have some extra time and a few cleaning supplies, you can go in and clean out the fridge, and that's a great help.
Oh,
because there's so much
tremendous help.
Yeah, there's so much food, moving in and out every day. And it feels good, I think, for people to be going to a space that is clean and welcoming.
Yeah.
And you guys, like, you paint the pantry with like a cool mural and stuff too,
Oh,
right?
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Alicia Burks, I'm probably butchering her name. She painted that for us.
It's beautiful.
I think sometimes we underestimate the value of like beauty and art, especially in spaces where things are being donated or given away for free. But we should treat those things and those spaces with as much respect as we would in our own home. And doesn't it feel so much more warm and welcoming? And don't you feel cared for when you go to a space and there's a beautiful mural on the wall and everything's clean? And it's like the same thing when people like donate stuff to Goodwill. I'm like, this is dirty and broken, y'all. Like you could have just throw it in the trash or like clean it before you donate it somewhere. It's not that much effort.
Yeah. So our volunteers, we do have like Lysol wipes and stuff, obviously, to clean it. So if there is a dirty can, they will just give it a quick shine over it.
Oh, they're just like at the site?
That's nice.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so yeah, anybody can just go up and clean out the fridge if they want to give a little bit of their time and make their community a more awesome place.
Yeah.
Really
And at the fridge too, if people have their phones, they could scan this QR code, and it's what the volunteers use, and we really encourage our patrons to use it too. Just to like fill out the data, like if they're taking food, if they're leaving food, if there's any issues, they can fill that out, and that's really helpful.
I love that you're capturing all of that. And I assume you guys take monetary donations as well.
Yeah.
And you use that just for like big grocery shopping trips.
And that helps us have money to build more fridges too. Because I think
That's awesome.
last time we probably spent around $800 on building materials.
Oh, wow. Yeah, building materials. Another thing that's gone up in price.
Yeah.
And it's not going down anytime soon, it seems.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
People can scan it, maybe?
Yeah. Well, and I'll put in our show notes a link to that website
Thank you.
Contact information. So if anybody wants to help,
and to donate,
to clean, whatever, or they need it themselves, they know where to go for that information.
We're just so thankful that you did this and took the initiative and are caring for people in our community, that you came on today to tell us a little bit about it, because I think it's an accessible way for people to get involved in their community, because, even if you don't have the funds to donate food, you, like Rosie said, you might have a little time to go check the fridge, or maybe you don't even have time to do that, but your church or, rec center, maybe you have an inn there and you feel like it could be a good spot for one.
Oh, yeah.
I've been racking my brain trying to think of a spot for that new fridge. Do you have any leads?
I have
Yet?
a lead near UTC. I'm going to go meet them
Oh,
later
that would be great.
next week, I believe.
Great.
Yeah, college students, another group of people that are
Yeah.
regularly food insecure that you wouldn't think about. But yeah, for sure. And I so love talking to you and hearing about this project, especially as we said at the beginning of this episode. There is so much going on in the world, and like your own personal story, right? Like we can't help. Our hands are not physically part
Right.
of the situation that is going on right now between Israel and Palestine, but we can help our own community in a lot of different ways, and this is one of the awesome ways that people can help.
Well, thank you again so much, and we look forward to hearing where that new fridge ends up and how we can help.
Wish me luck.
We're gonna find it for you. Our community is,
That'd be great. Yeah.
and don't forget, like clearly, this is a clear example of moms getting shit done.
It is a clear example, and I love it so much.
Yes. Thank you, Chaney.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Moms for Social Justice podcast. If you would like to support Hope Community Fridge, you can find links to the organization in our show notes. And there you can learn more about donating money, food, or time. Right now, they are working to assemble winter care kits, so I'll also leave a link to their Amazon wish list for items that they'll need to assemble those kits. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Bye!